I mean, he went pretty big there. It was like 1.5 to 4.1 or something. So I don't know if you need to make it that big in position as a 4-bet size. So that's a good observation there. I think that maybe is a little too big, but when you're playing street poker, you just do what it takes to win the pot.
In the meantime, though, Atma 108 being put to the test here with an all-in from the Pocket Kings of I Might Win.
Don't do it, Anuj.
Yeah. He's really, really thinking about it.
Because he thinks it's Corn Kid. Corn Kid's capable of anything, but thankfully he made the right decision here.
Yeah,
Good
pretty
discipline.
disciplined lay down there. Obviously, Ace Queen's a pretty strong hand to 3-bet fold. But a little awkward position in the small blind there. Conventional wisdom is you don't really want to be flatting in the small blind too much. So it's kind of, some people adopt a 3-better fold strategy there. And obviously, after the opponent's open under the gun, face to 3-bet, and still wants to stick the chips in there, Ace Queen shrinks up pretty quickly. So a disciplined fold there from him, and the Kings of I Might Win takes down the pot. So yeah, we're definitely seeing a lot of 3-betting, and in a 6-max tournament, that's definitely something you're going to see a lot of, especially for those who've accumulated chips here in a short-handed game throughout the entire tournament. You know that they've been playing probably pretty aggressively to get those chips. You can't sit there and hide behind a rock in 6-max. So Muskan, have you played very many 6-max tournaments, and what is your strategy when you go into playing one of them?
I played one just last night. In fact, I played this very tournament, and I completely agree with you. You gotta be more aggressive, especially with 6-max, because your ranges are now wider, and you gotta keep applying pressure. There's not a single spot that you can miss. At the same time, you cannot make too many mistakes. So that is something, and I feel like people who play a lot of sit and goes are really good at 6-max, because they understand that literally you're not even just waiting for cards, you're just playing your positions. So once you've identified your blinds and you've identified the players who are opening fairly wide, you can just start attacking them, and that is, I think, my take from 6-max. In fact, I really enjoy it because in full ring, there's not much you can do. Once an early position opens, you're just like, okay, I'll get away. But here in 6-max, you don't like, UTG means nothing. So that's something that I feel is a little different from other ring games.
Yeah, I kind of feel like in 6-max tournament, and maybe I'd like to know if you agree with me here. There's a lot more room, I feel like, for exploitive play. Like you're sitting at the table short-handed with these guys, and if you pick up when you're paying attention to hands, even you might not be dealt into, you can pick up things on your opponents and the weaknesses that they might have from a line that they took or a hand selection that they have. And when you're sitting there at a 6-max tournament, they don't have anywhere to hide. So now they're fairly exposed with those weaknesses, and you can find ways to deviate from game theory optimal into exploitive play. So I'm not sure if that's the greatest advice. I mean, usually people say stick to GTO, but I think if there is a spot where you can step out and start doing some exploits, it is in a 6-max tournament where you have a lot of information on people and you are a little bit deeper stack.
I agree. That's why we saw To the Streets take that line against RRT. And he was able to take this line only because it's a 6-max. If we were seeing a full ring final table, it would have been a bit different. So, oh my God!
Wow,
low. But for all the garbage that we've seen so far, this is a really loaded kind of a hand that we're seeing here.
Peter, can we please call 911?
Yeah, I think someone needs an ambulance in this hand. Could it be Pro?
Oh no, Pro! We wanted to see.
It's actually kind of a gross spot here because I think RRT could end up taking down this pot and making the jacks fold.
Get out, yeah.
If he'd ISO'd, I think the jacks has to fold. Now that he just called, I'm not really so sure what the jacks does here. It feels like you just don't ever want to stuff it in here.
Yeah, and you might just make a big fold here because, what is RRT's flatting range there?
Oh,
There
and
you go.
that's got to feel dirty to fold jacks and see the 9s and 10s get flipped up. But I think that is the correct fold. I mean, RRT, you have to be pretty optimistic to be thinking jacks is good in that situation. Obviously, we see the whole cards. We know that it would have been a perfectly reasonable shove in that spot. You would have been in a dream spot, in fact.
That's a great
But
fold.
I think that's a good fold. And RRT, ends up taking down a pretty nice pot there and knocking out our 6th place finisher, his pocket 10s to pocket 9s.
And that 6th place finisher, of course, Prometheus, being played by Anant Purohit, one of the most consistent players on the Indian circuit, but close but no cigar for him this evening as he gets knocked out for just about 6.6 lakhs for that finish. Not bad, it'll soothe the sting a little bit, but I'm sure he would have loved to go a little bit deeper.
So Kevin, all the boys, they trouble I might win a lot because he has some funny tilt stories. So I met him last week and I was rubbing it in and, putting his leg. So he's like, no, I've gotten much better. I do not tilt. So I just wanted to put it out there. That guy's corn kid has changed. He's a different man now. Yeah, you've heard those stories, yeah? Breaking the monitor, mouse, keyboard, all of that? Like that.
What? No.
Yeah.
What a gentle guy. There's no way he would have done something like that.
Guy, and I obviously thought that's not true. But when I was hosting the series of podcasts, and every time I asked them, who do you think is a tilt master? Every person said Corn Kid, Rubin. So I was like, what are you even saying? Is everyone bluffing me or what? But yeah.
Well, a whole lot of danger cards on that board, and RRT decides he's had enough of it, getting out of the way for that particular hand.
Yeah, we have a couple nice hands here. It's-man 108, and I might win. The confrontation here, when you're facing a 3-bet with ace-jack, it feels pretty much like you're guessing, especially out of position. It's one of those hands that certainly can't excuse a person for calling, but if you have a read that the person is pretty value heavy, it's kind of one of those hands when you open under the gun, get 3-bet that sometimes maybe you can fold. Oh wow, look at that turn card. That is dirty.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Flop goes check, check, and the case jack rolls off on the turn. So I think we're going to see a bet call here. Atman 108 got to be putting his opponent. Yeah, it's a tough range. You got to be putting him on like a delayed c-bet with ace king or something here, and it's hard to fold a turn pair when the flop goes check, check. And what are you getting called by here? So, kind of interesting spot here if I might win. Like, how do you size here, Muskan?
I'm gonna go. I think I'm just gonna jam here.
Yeah, I think a little bit bigger size because when you have 3 jacks, like you got to be thinking your opponent has a queen here. So I think he's gonna size a little bit bigger than normal, trying to get called by that queen X since he's blocking all the jack X. And I think I like that normally.
Yeah, especially the way it's been played out. In this spot, I would just pile it in just so that it looks like I'm maybe bluffing. And I have a lot of bluffs in my range also. So, yeah, I might just...
Yeah, but red alarms are going off, when your opponent 3-bets you, checks back the flop, and then fires the turn in river. I mean, sometimes I feel like that's top set, and certainly turn set works into that equation. It's hard to put him on the turn set when you have the jack, though. So, it's hard to have a bluff when you 3-bet, check back flop, bet turn, bet river. Seems pretty nutted to me, so pretty wise fold there from the ace jack, and I certainly can't blame him for peeling pre or calling turn after the 3-better check back. So
yeah, I guess Anuj figured it out. It was a value bet, and he gave it up. And he's a great player. He puts in a lot of work, and he's not just studying himself, but he's also has students under him. So, yeah, I'm sure all the boys are watching and rooting for him here. And by the way, a lot of jokes have been coming around. I'm going to read them in a bit.
And we see RRT here, check calling with bottom pair in the backdoor flush draw, picking up some more equity with the turn club, and in fact, backdooring the flush. Yeah, when your opponent checks back turn here, I think I like betting. It's just hard to think that they're going to, if they were going to continue bluffing, they would have done so on the turn. So I think you just bet here.
For sure.
And probably just go a bigger size, like 2/3 pot or something like that. Yeah, RRT, yeah, nice hand here, but not going to get any action from the king high, fortunately.
RRT, a seasoned pro, and also the founder of a very funny Facebook group where they only post memes. And it's actually quite funny, Peter, to be honest.
It is. So
Yeah,
taking a lead from that and running our own contest here with all the funnies that we are expecting to hear from you shortly.
Yeah, RRT, he invited me to the page after we worked together last time, and I've got quite a few good chuckles out of their memes. I do enjoy a good meme, you know. So.
Oh, I have so many favorite memes from the Indian poker scene. It's crazy. There was one, yeah, there's so many actually. These guys are too funny and creative. Also, Sumit Sapra, I hope he gets away from this. He seems to be, I mean, doesn't have that much room. Yeah, he's going to get away from this. So another player who's so experienced as Sumit Sapra here, addicted. He is, I mean, he's been around for how many years, Peter? I'm sure you, I mean, he was like one of the first few pros, right?
Yeah, right from the start of the scene. I mean, poker in India generally is considered to have started around 2009, 2010. Certainly, since the first time we ever held the IPC, Sumit has been a part of those events right from back in 2010. So yeah, been around for well over a decade now.
Well, kudos to him for making a final table and be able to have that kind of longevity. It takes a bit of resolve and a thick skin to stick around the poker community. You know, a lot of people come just for a short period of time, and I've certainly in my years met a lot of professionals that are only around for a couple of years. So it's nice to see somebody who's there from the beginning, making a final table, representing it for us old regs. You know, I've been around for about 15 years, and yeah, I'm still struggling to make final tables myself. So nice to see him, an old school reg, making a final table here and still having an impact on the game this many years later. So kudos to him.
Huge respect to both of you, Kevin, even to you. But you know, I still remember when I had just started out, there was this, I mean, first I want Rubin to fold his hand, then I'll tell my story. I just want him to have his chips. Because I don't think he's a believer right now.
Yeah, it looks like the tens is being a little stubborn. Certainly thinking he might win this hand. But we are definitely going to see a slam dunk value bet here from the ace queen.
Yeah.
And going for a little bigger sizing, trying to target another queen X. When called twice, you know, you are thinking your opponent probably has a reasonably strong queen here. So I do like sizing up a bit.
And he just defended the big blind with tens, right? I don't think he put in a 3-bet, or did he? No, he didn't.
Yeah, and I think that kind of speaks to the stack distribution right now with Atman 108 and AA Addicted being a little bit shorter, about half of the stack right now. So it would be kind of a disaster to get in a coin flip there against like Ace Jack or something and just kind of be torching your equity that you have built up. And this is what I was waiting for, those aces coming around. We have all these AA names, and we have two of the street picking up the aces here. He's going to make a sizable raise against I Might Win, and I Might Win just going to snap fold the 5 deuce suited. So we've seen some pretty monster hands here. 3 flop sets so far, some pocket aces, some pocket kings, but no action. A little bit deeper stack, and so the players are kind of waiting for massive hands to collide. And this kind of happens when you're a little bit deeper stack as opposed to our other final tables. And a pretty decent flop here for the Queen 10, up and down with the Jack to the nuts. And it's going to be super impossible for the King 4 diamonds to continue here. And we see a check back here. I mean, it's not a bad board to check back just range-wise, because you're supposedly the big blind's defend range is going to be all over that 9-8-7 board. And the traditional wisdom is that with compressed range from under the gun, it's going to be harder for that compressed range to stand check raises on this. Now, the Queen 10, if there is anything that you're going to see bet, the Queen 10 and the Jack 10 are probably two of the nicer hands to mix in there, plus some sets and stuff. But you just don't have enough of those middling cards in your range to 100% c-bet this board, so there's going to be a lot of mixed strategies here. And we do see him check back. And now RRT, recognizing that range advantage, just goes for the big bet with the King High. Yep. And we're just seeing just pure range advantage there on that board texture. I mean, playing the texture, playing his perceived range, and attacking the now capped range of AA Atman. Yeah, the capped range. Once you check back, you don't really. It's hard for you to have the nuts or set. So RRT recognizing that the top of range hands are gone and attacking the now weakened capped range with the King 4 and getting a fold. So pretty aware play from RRT. We seem to be watching him play quite a bit in tempo. When it seems like he should bet, he's been betting, and when he seems like he should be checking, he's been checking. He seems pretty aware of the ranges and how to play the board textures here. So we're seeing some nice play from RRT here, and I've certainly been impressed so far with this play. I was really looking forward to getting to do some commentary on him after doing commentary with him last time. So so far so good, RRT. You're playing some really great poker.
Yeah, being the chip leader at the start of this final table, he's not been overly aggressive, but when it's required, he's pulled the trigger, and he's added some chips to his stack as well. Still the chip leader at this final table, and I think he's going to make sure that he's not going to give it up without a fight. Yeah,
and again we see I Might Win limping in the small blind. This time a better hand, more of a limp trap with a Jack 10 suited, a hand that flops pretty well, and certainly a hand that you can limp call with. To the streets, living up again to the name, and punishing the limp with the King 8 suited, King 8 offsuit, and flopping massive with 2 pair. Makes the small bet to lure I Might Win in, and then I Might Win goes for the check raise, picks up the chin card on the turn. Wow, what a card. Queen of Hearts on the turn, up and down straight flush draw. I mean, I don't see King 8 ever folding here, and I think Jack 10 is going to put in some more chips here. I'm wondering if we see an all-in confrontation here. He does go for a smaller size.
I'm a little surprised at the size of that bet.
Yeah, it kind of feels like you would go for a big size here, but once your check raise gets called, you obviously know your opponent has something, like probably minimum a king, and I think he's aware that he check raised into a king here and now is trying to name his price for showdown. And I don't think it's going to work. I don't think the King 8 here can just let him draw on the board, but it does work. King 8 just calls, giving him even more rope, not protecting the hand there. So definitely playing dangerously, not trying to protect the King 8 there.
Hood poker, as you can see it right in front of you here by To the Streets. And, well, it remains to be seen exactly what I Might Win decides to do here.
Yeah, and the King 8 raising the limp with the King 8, there's an interesting argument there. It's kind of, I think, maybe just more of an exploit play. You don't really think your opponent's probably just overfolding when you do that. You don't really think, I'm going to be dominating a whole bunch of 8x that he's check calling. So I think kind of recognizing from before that there was some limp folds happening and just trying to find more hands to put it in there. Yeah, and we see the Jack 10 give up on the river. But I think maybe the king eight. I don't know. I don't know what you guys think about that, but I think I would be shoving king eight on the turn there. I mean, if the guy has a set or king queen, and then he just has it, that's a pretty wet board. So
you don't want to let that drag on for too long, but it did work out in the end. Well, since Muskan has put out a question out there for all of our viewers to make all of us laugh, and she's going to reward you suitably, what I'm going to do is to get you with the answer to that first contest question, which was, what does the diamond suit indicate? The diamonds represent something, and that's what we asked you yesterday. We wanted this answer, which is known as wealth. Diamonds represent wealth. Well, really no surprise there that it represents wealth, but we've got our 5 lucky winners, and these 5 players are going to get a ticket into the 20-seat guaranteed satellite to FTS number 21, which is going to take place very, very shortly at about 8:30 p.m. this evening. And those winners are Daniel K. Prasad with the username The Fault in Our Cards. I love that username. Daniel Prasad there, who's the first winner. Then you've got Abhishek Gautam playing as Heart Loss. He's the second winner. Tayman Pannu playing as Tayman 007 is the third ticket winner. Sumit Kumar playing as Isildur 2108 is the fourth ticket winner. And last but not the least, Rohit Singh P as I am Groot. That's his ID. So congratulations to all of these 5 contest winners. We'll see you at the FTS 21 event at 8:30 p.m. At the FTS satellite event, I beg your pardon. So congratulations once again, and let's get back to the action.
Yeah, and it's just, we're watching the Ramesh show here, RRT is just playing all the hands, applying all the pressure. Here we see him open up the pocket threes on the button and making a standard C-bet. A little protection, kind of find out where you're at. AA addicted, calling with the ace high and spiking the ace on the turn. I just don't really see any more chips going into this pot from Ramesh. Although he can represent the ace here, and maybe realizing that checking down threes is just going to lose him the pot, that he has more ace-X than his opponent. He is going to try to represent the ace here. And, these I kind of like doing these plays once in a while with these small pairs, because you're unblocking a lot of his hands that want to, check call, check fold, So sometimes just, these hands make good double and, dare I say it, triple barrel hands. I'm not sure if we're going to see it here. The ace, nothing's changing from the turn, so now a jack might not fold. Ace is
stop the presses. AA addicted has got AA as well, so
yeah, and I think Ramesh could have triple barreled there, but he was pretty aware of that river card not changing much, and his probably not going to allow his opponent to get away on that river. So he does shut it down with threes, checks back, and AA addicted takes it down with the trip aces. So the name is checking out.
It's working for Sumit Sapra playing as AA addicted. And I'm going to try and get another contest question going. But before that, let me go and get a cup of coffee as well. So I will see you guys in a little while from now.
Okay, enjoy.
Thank you, Peter. And we see Ramesh opening here with the king jack from under the gun. I might win, peeling the ace 8 suited from the small blind. And I kind of like peeling these suited aces from the small blind to get kind of a discount, cheap flop, and these hands have pretty high implied value.
Kevin, I did the same thing. I peeled with ace 8 suited yesterday versus Rocky, and it was a different story. I basically hit my trips, and he had a full house.
Oof.
So if I had a 3-bet pre, I'm sure he would have, kind of folded, because it was just a pair of deuces.
Yeah, but those hands, I like that play because you get the big blinds in there, and those suited aces play pretty well multi-way. And they're kind of hands where you don't mind getting a discount on it and maybe hitting a huge flop. The implied value on the suited aces is pretty big. So I think it was kind of maybe the fad quite a few years ago to be 3-betting those hands. And I think the wisdom has kind of changed away from that to a lot more flatting, allowing your opponents to play ranges as wide as possible. So you're keeping their suited hands wide so that you have the chance to flush over flush them. So peeling those ace X suiteds from the small blind keeps all your opponent's queen X and king X and their out of line suited connectors they're playing still in the range so that you can really win some big pots with the flush over flush. But we really haven't seen flush over flush yet at any of these final tables.
That's what I was thinking. That if I'm gonna waste such a important hand if I kind of 3-bet and then face a 4-bet. So that was the reason why I was peeling. And but I'm happy to hear what you said. So yay, I did the right thing. Also, Kevin, can you tell me about that hand versus Vanessa Selves? I mean, you remember that went viral, and then she went and complained to Labroo on the side that how can he call me with this time? Tell us about that hand, please.
Well, yeah, I mean, obviously that's the most famous hand of poker that I've ever played. It's not every day that you 5-bet call somebody with ace-9 offsuit. That's only happened a couple of times in my career where I've had somebody playing so loose that I would consider something like that. And I'm happy to say that most of the times I've been right.
But still, yeah, Kevin, ace-8 is still a flip. Like, your opponent could have anything. Like Vanessa Selves could actually, you're essentially flipping for your chips and stuff. So, I mean, tell me what was really going behind, what was behind the thought process,
Well, Vanessa and I had a lot of history with each other, and we were pretty good friends up until that moment, actually.
Are you serious?
Yeah. And that was sort of the beginning of the end of that friendship. She took that hand quite personally. But, she's a special opponent. There's not really anybody in the game that was playing like Vanessa Selves was. So taking a game theory optimal approach and trying to apply it to her kind of feels like not the greatest plan. So she's one of those opponents that plays so loose that she forces you to widen your value range, and ace-9 just one of those hands that I feel like when I 3-bet, I want to have a more linear style. So I don't want to be polarized. I want to take some of the best of my folding hands and turn them into 3-bet bluffs. And I certainly wouldn't always do that with ace-9, but I figured with the blocker, the button, a very wild opponent, that and a hand that didn't really flat well or play well multi-way, that taking one of the better hands that would be folding to an open and turning it to a 3-bet bluff.
Can you remind your viewers the positions so that they can imagine the hand?
I'm not. It's been.
I get it, but you said you were on the button. Where was she?
I believe I was the button, and she was, I believe, the low jack.
Okay.
And it was about 50 to 60 big blinds effective. So ace-9 not really on the chart there as a flat. Probably not even as a 3-bet, but against an opponent playing a wider range of hands, and let me tell you, the hands she was showing down on the table beforehand were pretty crazy. So,
like what?
Literally, when she opened, you could see the steam coming out of her ears from the previous hand. I mean, she played a hand before we got moved to the feature table against Anton Vig, where she made like a play, in my opinion, that made no sense, and they got in an argument with each other about it, and then they're usually friends as well. And you could see that they were quite heated before we got moved to the feature table. So I was expecting a lot of fireworks. Oh wow, here we go.
Anuj. I don't see anybody calling though.
No, I don't think so. And this looks like about 17 big blind shove. So just trying to take the pair equity and rip it in, and knowing that if you get called by some more cards, you at least have 50% chance of winning the hand again. And really, all the power is on, or all the onus is on AA admin to rip it in, shortest stack, no pressure, and he just rips in with the pocket fours. But the Vanessa hand, I mean, I just had a hand where I thought, I want to play a more linear strategy, take one of the best hands on folding and 3-bet it. And then when she 4-bet it, which I don't understand, because, that deep of stacks, I didn't make a big 3-bet. Pocket fours is a perfect hand to call with to set mine, so I didn't really understand her play, why you would 4-bet that. But, she has a lot of history. Jack-7 suited against Prahlad Freeman, Jack-9 offsuit. The previous EPT, she 6-bet shoved into Nick Schwede's aces, 8-4 suited in I mean, she's all these hands where she's 6-bet shoving.
I have a
Garbage,
question.
you know? It's like,
Okay,
how
I
do you
have a
range her?
question.
You know?
I get it. So if I have an opponent like that, so are you telling me that you were so sure that she's kind of steaming, tilting, from the hand that went down before, that you were, able to make that move on her?
Yeah. I mean, honestly, I think that my hand clips a bunch of her random stuff that she does, which the random stuff she 6-bet shoves is just so hard to range because she does it so often, and she's done it with Jack 9 off, Jack 7 suited, 8-4 suited, and like I was honestly expecting to see Ace 4 suited or Ace 5 suited or something like that, and just do like some crazy merge play on her where I clip one of her bluffs because she's way over bluffing in this spot. Like traditionally, it's just so hard to have aces or kings. I have an ace blocker, so like, what is she doing this with?
Get it.
And yeah, so I just figured there's a pretty good chance she has ace 5 suited, ace 4 suited. She could have that random Jack 9 off like she did against Nick Schweedy in the previous EPT when she busted putting I think 100 big blinds in with Jack 9 off.
Yeah.
So I mean, I get to the end of to the 6-bet shove, and I'm like, man, this seems crazy, but like honestly, I think I have to call. I'm like getting pretty good odds, and like you have so much random stuff in your range.
Who's the closest player to Vanessa Sells, like as crazy as her?
Galen Hall, probably. Galen Hall. That's probably one of her best friends, and I've never seen somebody 3-bet so much, 100 big blinds deep. PCA champion Galen Hall. Yeah, so I think that he is probably one of the more aggressive players. I know he talks strategy a lot with her, but Vanessa, I think when she first got into poker was backed by Timex or something like that. So she had very good teachers. Yeah, the best teachers, and she was living in Europe on exchange in Madrid when she first got into poker. So she was able to tap into the international scene and big 2+2 or big forum poster back in the day, and that allowed her to network into backing arrangements with some of the best players in the world. So Vanessa, super smart, super talented player, but man, she was just always getting after it. There was no slowdown. It was like she couldn't fold a hand. She couldn't fold a hand, and the funniest part to me about that hand was her saying, you're always coming after me, and it's like, I called you. You 6-bet shoved. The highest card in your hand was a 4, and you're telling me I'm coming after you. I called you. You play a style that forces people to loosen their ranges, and I loosened it to a point where it made you uncomfortable. But like, I knew her game very well, and I knew that when she 6-bet shoves, her range is super wide. And like, in fact, I don't even know if she 6-bet shoves aces or kings because she just flats those. So when she does it, she probably just doesn't have anything. So that was kind of the logic there. It's one of the weirdest hands I've ever played. Obviously, super famous, and
I can understand, because you don't do that, right? You don't 5-bet jam ace 9 off on just any other random player, or even someone you think is super aggressive. So what you did was actually an exception.
It was a rare exception, which I said at the time as well. There's only one other hand of online poker I've ever played similar to it, and I remember the hand specifically against Alex Fitzgerald. Well, RIT. Yeah, wow, 3-betting the King 4 suited. It's going to be a little awkward here for the 8s to continue on the Queen 9 board. I think RRT is going to go for a smaller size here, but when you 3-bet and get called, feels like there's going to be a fair amount of Queen X in that range. So when the 8 peels one off here, well, the club makes things interesting. Huh.
RT actually likes that turn. He's like, okay, see my boss play. Because I guess to the streets is going to fold to another barrel.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of ace high and like 9x and pairs here that you don't really want to check call with a flush draw and an overcard on a board pair. But I think I'd like to just see another bet here. And yeah, he goes for a pretty big sizing, 6 into 9. Is that right?
Yeah. Because I guess he really wants to the streets to fold here, and oh my
Well,
god.
he's not going to get a fold anymore. But I think it's just so hard for him to continue bluffing with the King X. When you size 2/3 pots on the board pair on the turn,
Mm-hmm.
still get called. Whew, I mean, this is exactly the hand you're targeting when you make that size. So that's got to be a little frustrating to see the 8s get stubborn and then boat up on the river here. But yeah, we do not see another bet from Ramesh. Kind of making his decision to be done after the turn bet, I think, unless he improved. So
On what kind of river are you gonna try and bluff?
I mean, I don't.
In
Ramesh's
RRT
beat-
shoes. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that there's probably just none. Once you do that sizing on turn, if you want to plan to execute a bluff on the river, I think I'd size small on the turn. Kind of that Bryn Kenny sort of line. Bet 3-bet, bet small, all in. Just lure them in, and then slam the hammer down on the river and just scoop all the pot. That's the Bryn Kenny style. And if you are setting up for river shoves, I do like betting small along the way. Wow. A7 suited with the reshove, and AA addicted waking up with the AA to knock out in 5th place. So wow, yeah, that's what I was looking for. Some aces. It's my favorite hand.
And mine is Jack 10 suited. I know I'm a fish to say that because everyone's favorite hand should be aces, but I just feel like Jack 10 suited is such a aces cracker.
Yeah, I actually had a really interesting spot in the main event of the World Series of Poker one year, where I played a hand against Jack 10 suited, and I think we were just gotten into the money. I was playing 100 big blinds deep in the money of the main event, very soft table, winning a lot of small pots, and then this hand came up where I opened the small blind with Ace King of clubs, and I had 100 bigs. The big blind was this older Asian gentleman. I believe his name was Soon. His nickname was Tsunami because he was such a whirlwind with the chips. So I open Ace King suited, and he just goes all in for 80 big blinds.
Wow!
And
I
don't think I called.
Can we
spot.
profile this player a little bit more? Can we have a little more details, please?
I mean, I didn't know very much information on him. Obviously, we're playing the main
so
event.
random. Okay.
Random guy, older Asian gentleman. Kind of gives me squirrely vibes. So I'm not thinking he's gonna do something crazy.
RRT.
Oh, let's go RRT. Yeah, I think he's gonna run into it here, though. I don't know if the 10's gonna be folding with how much RRT is gonna be 3-betting the small blind, and yeah, we see the 10's. With this 3-bet. RRT definitely is not a fan of flatting at these small blind situations, but I can't really blame him at a final table. I mean, you want to be applying
Of course.
max pressure.
That's what Jakobsen was saying. I had a podcast with Martin Jakobsen, and he said that, till the time they allow me, I am going to exploit the table. So once they start playing back at me is when I'm going to, think of adjusting, and I'm going to, respect the chip leader or whoever's applying power on me. So yeah, that was good. So what were you saying? Continue. Sorry.
Oh, yeah. So I opened the Ace King suited, and he just rips 80 big blinds, and I'm just like, I'm not folding this hand. So I call, and he shows the Jack 10 of diamonds.
What?
Flop 10-10. And it actually spurred a really interesting discussion amongst me and my friends about whether or not it was actually even worth me taking this gamble in this spot. We're in the main event. I have an extremely amateur table. Lot of chips. Do I want to play a massive coin flip against a random blind versus blind when I can just fold and keep doing the same thing?
Kevin, you could have aces.
He did the same thing. So after I busted, Griffin Benger moved into my seat, and he told me that he limped 100 big blinds deep, small blind. The guy went all in. He folded, and the guy flipped over 7-3 offsuit. So. Yeah, so I have nightmares with the Jack 10 suited because that hand, I called it the Ace King and just came 10-10, and I was dead.
Do you know
It's like-
Griffin?
it's like a.
well?
I don't like Jack 10 suited. I used to like Jack 10 suited, but since that
Yeah.
hand, I don't like it anymore because the counter's so good.
I was saying, do you know Griffin well?
I used to be pretty friendly with him back in the day. Yeah, but
Can you
not
say
so much
something to
today.
him from my side?
Sure.
Can you tell him to check your privilege? Tell him to check his privilege, please.
Oh man, yeah. I don't know if I've really talked with Griffin too much since that famous hand in the famous final table. I mean, I was there for that final table in person because I was rooting on my friend Michael Ruane, who was at the
Oh.
final table, Feek. And
What's his story? Where's he from?
Michael Ruane, he went deep 2 years in a row. I think he got 10th and like 5th or 6th or something in like 2 out of 3 years. He was an online player that moved out to Malta with his brother. When I was traveling around the European Poker Tour, there weren't that many Americans around, so I met him when he was probably like 19 or 20.
Kevin,
out
look
in
at
Europe.
this.
Wow, AA addicted. Let's go. Let's go. It's so funny how I was wondering. I'm like, is this guy just really going to pick up aces the whole final table, even before the final table happened? And
Where's Sumit Sapra?
already done it twice. Yeah. Well, yeah, it's nice to be running good at the right point of the tournament. We're not probably going to see too much action here on the Jack deuce board. We do see the ace high peel 1. Kind of an interesting spot. You really have to think your opponent's getting out of line to be peeling his hand. I like this check from the aces. This is, I think, a pretty standard check on the double board pair. Well, that's an interesting run out. So, full house on the board. AA addicted with the AA.
To the streets, thinks he's good.
Yeah, and making it a sizing where he's just trying to get called, his opponent checked back the turn here, so correctly assessing that he probably doesn't have a turn full house with the jack or deuce. Otherwise, he probably would have bet the turn. Kind of going for a small sizing here, and yeah, calls. You call it all over, baby. I call and I play the board.
Oh, even that hand is amazing. It's all over, baby. I want to say that when I win. When I'm in a heads-up situation, I'm just waiting for that. I'm going to say that to my opponent.
Oh,
Okay.
well, King 3 ripping it in here and hitting the flush on the river,
Oh,
so
GG.
I might win. Did not win this hand, and he
GG,
will be
Rubin.
our 4th place finisher.
I
That
wanted
is-
him to win, you know that, even though he was an underdog coming in with the stack sizes, but I was hoping that he's going to be our champion. But now it's to these boys. Let's
Yeah,
do
I
this.
mean, maybe next time when he comes back with a new screen name, I will win.
Oh, you remember there was this one time where on a PokerStars tournament, there was this one person who wrote, "I won't Millie," and then he actually did win the $1 million Sunday Millions. So
Yeah, the Russian guy, right? I want million.
instead of writing "I want Millie," I think he wrote "I won't Millie," right?
Yeah.
That went viral too.
Oh man, that was classic. So yeah, we're getting down to 3-handed play here, and to the streets, Ramesh and AA addicted. Pretty nice lineup here, and to the streets flopping the flush, but Ramesh gonna snap fold the 7 high. And yeah, we're playing. How deep are we playing here? So 32. Playing like 40 bigs deep for the shortest stack, so I think we're going to have quite a bit of short-handed play here. Should be kind of fun to watch. A lot of these final tables have gone so quickly with a lot of short stacks coming in. We haven't really got a chance to see some really dynamic deep stack play, and I think this 3-handed game will certainly deliver with these stacks being a little bit deeper and 3 fun players to watch, excellent players to watch in the mix here.
Yes, and this title means a lot to 3 of them. Would mean a lot because it's such a prestigious tournament, and there are regs in this circuit. They keep, they're always putting in that volume. So this will be huge for not just their BR, but also for the results, for that satisfaction that when you're putting in the work and then you see results. So it's something for that.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Oh, God bless you.
AA addicted, queen 3 off. We got some trash hands here. I mean, we're gonna have, three-handed play pretty deep. It's gonna be hard to find some hands to clash here. So it's gonna be a lot more small pots, and battling over these small pots is gonna start mattering a lot here. I think that To the Streets and AA addicted don't want to be bloating pots against each other, and are really looking to just get Ramesh out and try to get this thing heads up, but that's going to be a tall task, I think. So, Muskan, can you tell me a little bit about your path in poker? I think this is our first time really getting to be face to face and hang out, and I've seen you pop up around social media from time to time, and I'd just like to hear a little bit about what got you into the game and what made you want to pursue poker as a passion.
Sure, but right now there's another hand going on here, and I think it's going to be an interesting one. Also, Kevin, I to be honest, when I got into poker, it was not that big. It was just a very niche kind of hobby. Very few people knew about it. I knew about it because my dad, he used to study medical in school, and him and his friends used to study on, the different kind of effects that, have that are on you when you basically. Oh, 1 second.
Yeah, pretty interesting hand here with the tens getting some action from the 10, or I'm sorry, the kings getting some action from the 10-7 off in the big blind, flopping the pair in the backdoor flush draw, backdoor straight draw, picking up the gut shot on the turn. And I'd like to see the kings continue here with a pretty big size on a pretty wet board. The 7 of diamonds certainly seems like a relevant blocker here, but man, it's just super tough to find a fold here, and you don't really like the check call. But yeah, it's going to be hard with so many draws on the board to release top pair, so we aren't seeing AA addicted call here. And this is getting to be kind of an important pot here. Be interesting to see To the Street what kind of sizing he does here. I think once you size up the turn to charge the draws, you can kind of size down the river to target the more medium strength hands. And we don't see him necessarily bomb it, but it's still a sizable bet, 5.1 into about 8.4. And I don't know what I'd do here with the 10-7. This is where the history with your opponents comes in.
Exactly.
The tendencies for them to triple barrel. When you get to the river, there's a lot more of sizing up of your opponent's tendencies than normal. So, yeah, a lot of draws missing there, and we do see the 10, pair of 10s be stubborn and call and pay off the kings of To the Street. So, To the Streets has been having some pretty good timing here so far.
Yes, and these guys are playing for a lot of money, as the next payout will be 12 lakhs 51,000, and the last payout was 10 lakhs 36,000. So you can imagine, this is now big money that we are playing for. So every decision is going to be worth, lakhs.
That's a lot of lakhs, that's for sure. Nice prizes that these players have locked up. And another interesting hand here, you see the chip leader and the second in chips playing very conservatively against each other. 10s just limping. I like the limp from 10s here. There's a lot of hands that want to raise versus the limps. And 10s unblocks a lot of those weaker ace-x hands that you would normally expect to raise in that spot. But To the Streets, kind of realizing he doesn't want to bloat a pot against second chips, and checks back the ace-5, and we just see the hand get basically checked down to the river and one bet take it. So you can see the conservative approach exemplified in that hand, and I think that they're going to be kind of waiting for RRT to bust before they try to get in a big confrontation with each other.
Yes, the pay jumps are huge now.
Yeah, massive. I mean, they have secured money that's bigger than some of our prizes and first place prizes in some of our other tournaments. But beyond the money, I'm sure they're also chasing those leaderboard points and that gold medallion.
Yeah.
A very coveted prize for anybody playing these tournaments. You want to get that medallion, and you want to get that special icon next to your name that denotes you as a Final Table Series winner. So the players playing for a lot of money, pride, and some hardware here. So definitely
And the leaderboard
gravity of the
points.
situation. Yeah, leaderboard points are, with only a few tournaments, handful of tournaments left in the series, the leaderboard race is heating up, and all the players trying to jostle for those free roll prizes. I mean, that's a nice little overlay being offered there when you get some leaderboard prizes.
Kevin,
So,
but how do you approach these leaderboards? Like, if
I
you
mean-
know that I want to play 24/7, okay, my feature events are on these dates, but there are also tournaments that are happening in the afternoon. So potentially, you're going to start grinding the minute you wake up, or like a few hours later. But you're going to be grinding throughout the night, because then at night those are the feature events. So how do you really? How can you do this? Do you think it? I feel like it's impossible, without really stressing yourself out physically and mentally. Or unless you're hitting big scores, so you feel like, okay, I might as well go for it. I've made so many points. Do you think it works like that, or is it something you can pre-decide and actually hit?
well, I think that's a really excellent question, because I don't think you want to have one strict game plan going into those situations. You want to be adaptable at the tables to the variables that you're seeing. So having one streamlined strategy, I think you just kind of want to play it as it goes. When I first broke out on the online scene, it was from a leaderboard competition. It was 13 years ago in 2008. I broke the PokerStars tournament leaderboard record for monthly tournament leaderboard points, and the reason I went after it was I enjoy the competition, and the worst case scenario is when you go for leaderboard points is you're going to be putting a lot of grind in. And, I kind of feel like when you have a big score at the beginning of the accumulation of leaderboard points, the beginning of whenever that time frame is, that, obviously you want to attack more at that point because you already have some points under your belt. And I've done some leaderboard prop bet things. One year, Stevie, Dylan, and I bet ourselves against Elke, Negranyu, and I can't remember who their third was, and lost our asses, and we decided that we would never do a leaderboard bet again because it was too exhausting to do it. And I've stayed with Sean Deeb when he's done. He's the big leaderboard.
Look at these two
better.
ambitious guys.
Look at this 9-3 and 9-3. We're gonna see who the better player is.
This is street poker.
Yeah, but back to your question about the leaderboards. I've stayed with Sean Deeb, who I think is the best leaderboard grinder I've ever seen.
He is,
especially for mixed games.
Sorry for interrupting you. I met him in Vegas and had such an interesting, conversation with him. I was telling him how I got one outed in a hand. Otherwise, I would have, been on a final table of some tournament. Then he just gave it off to me. He's like, there's nothing called luck. He's like, everything are numbers and math. You will, everything will even out. And, so then he wished me well. And then his wife was coming. And I was also like, pulling his leg and all that in front of his wife. So it was so much fun. He's such a, fun-loving guy. I'd never seen that side of him, and I wish to meet him again.
He really is a nice guy, and his wife is lovely. Ashley is. I'm a big fan, and they have a couple of kids together. But she actually would come and stay with us too. But he would do these leaderboard points. He would bet 100K for W Coop leaderboard against Jason Mercier, and then he would be up. I mean, really, to attack these leaderboards and get maximum value, it takes a special kind of sickness. If you're going to do it from the get-go and be making side bets on the side, for him, like his side bets were bigger than the money he was playing for. So he was waking up bright and early every day, 5 a.m., playing the first tournament that registered, and he would just sit on the couch on a tiny laptop and cascade everything. He wouldn't even, I'd have my monitors and my whole setup and my comfy chair, I need to be real comfortable, have all the screen. He would lie on the couch with his legs up and just cascade and click.
Dude, this reminds me of that South Park episode. Have you seen that South Park episode when there's this guy who's trying to solve the game and then the game creators try and go and see him, and it's just a guy sitting on his thing. Have you seen that?
Right. I can't remember the name of the episode, but I remember the guy in his basement that he's trolling all of them in their game. That they're
Yeah.
this big guy down there drinking his like terrible pop
Oh,
and
yeah. Exactly.
eating his trash
about it.
food. Yeah. No,
Never different.
but yeah, the leaderboard stuff, I think it's fun. You know, I enjoy competition of any kind and any more reason to be competitive. If you're that type of person, I think that's a lot of what attracts us to poker is that need for competition, that need to have that sort of channeled in our lives. And yeah, I like the leaderboards as far as that because it's just another layer of competition, and more competition is always better. It helps motivate me. It helps motivate other good players.
Yeah.
And certainly, it's nice to have a little bit of a free roll at the end of the series when you put in some hard work and maybe you can get a little bit of some free cash back for chasing that leaderboard. And it's always a nice bragging rights to be like, yeah, I won the leaderboard for that. So
100%.
next time you see all your friends in the live tournament, you can kind of
I do that. I go and challenge better players than me, and I'm like, do you want to have a last longer before entering any tournament? Because I'm like, okay, this will keep me, motivated, and I usually win the last longers, but it would be nice to win a big tournament. Yeah. Instead of
the last longers, I'm not the biggest fan of the last longers because I feel like I'm getting hustled by the nits, I don't want to be in a spot where like I am deviating my play. Look at this hand from RRT, going for value with the King 9 here, and he's been so aggressive at this final table. Maybe AA Addicted here gets a little stubborn, thinking that RRT is trying to rep the ace here. Yeah, very interesting hand. You got to be kind of brave going for it here with King 9. I mean, once you fade the snap, you're feeling pretty good about your hand, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, he does in fact take it down. So we're seeing the chips swing back a little more in RRT favors. Now AA Addicted, after losing that pot, is our shortest stack. And he's going to defend the King 8 suited here to the streets with the Jack High flush draw and the gut shot. A Addicted flopping top pair, so should be an interesting hand to watch.
Yeah. Very interesting, Kevin.
Well, the jack on the turn should be enough for him to check back and try to get to showdown. I don't see much of a reason to continue betting here. And should be interesting, yeah, with the deuce of diamonds rolling off to see what AA Addicted chooses as a sizing here. Obviously, all the club draws miss.
So I'm gonna fast forward my life story of how I got into poker and tell you about Shark Cage. So I ended up qualifying for Shark Cage, and I was there, and I played with Timex, Liv, Jason Mercier, Sam Crofton. Oh, yeah, and Mike Tyndall. And I guess, yeah, that's it. It was all of us, and I was the wild card, the loose cannon, and somebody who, is having this free roll versus pros and celebrities. So, yeah. So, firstly, basically, there was a tournament. There were like 20,000 people registered to it. It was a free roll. You had to come top 20. After getting through, you gotta, pass this quiz, and then you gotta put in your audition tape. So it was a long process, and So when I got there, and that time I used to just love poker, watch like my husband and his friends back then, like he was my boyfriend, and they all were also excited about poker. They introduced me to all these real money sites, and I used to just play on Zynga, stay up all night. Like I was so like attracted to strategic games. So obviously I was very much attracted to cards as well. So it was like a no brainer. I got into it, and then obviously when I went for Shark Cage, it was like once you taste blood, and then you come back, and then you're like, okay, I wanna learn this game more, and I wanna get serious about it, and then. Yeah, no looking back, and then there was this sports journalist, who convinced me to, join a professional team and become India's first female professional poker player. So it was like, a little bit for me. I felt like, it was a little scary, you know. Why am I the first one? Why are there no other female pros? What's going on? Am I doing right? Is this correct or not? And then I did take that step. And
Yeah, talk about trial by fire. I mean, you go from grinding Zynga poker free rolls to sitting down with some of the best world class players, you know, Timex and Libri, and I mean, wow, that sounds like that must have been. I would have probably been quite intimidated, but for those who aren't familiar, the shark cage, if I'm not mistaken, you'll have to correct me if I'm wrong, but you get to the river, and anytime you bet, you put out a card, right? And it either says bluff or value.
correct.
And if they fold and you flip over the bluff card, then they go to the cage, right?
Correct. Or if you catch someone's bluff, okay.
Then they go to the cage.
Yes. Okay. So either you have to make your bluff get through, so you send your opponent to the cage, and if your bluff is catched, you go to the cage. It's like that. So I bluffed Timex. Yeah.
And you sent him to the cage. You already answered my next question. That's awesome.
Yeah,
awesome.
because sorry
That's
for
something I
interrupting
haven't
you.
accomplished.
No, I basically when I got the names, they gave it to me just like 15 minutes before I was on air. And firstly, I was numb because in shock. Libri was my idol, someone I was looking up online, and I was like, oh, she's such a well-respected sport in UK. She's doing it so well. I mean, I'm sure I can do the same, right? Like someone like her who studied quantum physics, so intelligent. So then I obviously was, mesmerized when I got there, and there were so many these big pros, and Timex also was there, but I was an Ivy fan, okay, so I wanted to do my stare down for sure, and then Timex was also into stare down, so I'm like, yeah, hello, well, let's do this. And then my friends were like, just don't play a hand with Timex. They said, okay, attack all these other players, but don't play a single hand with Timex because he's like going to destroy you post flop. So if you have a hand pre, just get it in and like don't just avoid any confrontation. Like
So naturally you bluff him.
Yeah, I was just like
That's
couldn't
awesome.
help myself. I was like, this is the only guy I think has a very wide range. I could bluff him. He'll have nothing. And, it was a lot of fun because first I basically I was trying to bluff him, and then I ended up getting there. And then he folded. He made a good fold because I made a very polarizing bet on the river. Big bet, so it was like either bluff or value, but it was actually value. He got away from that, which was a very correct decision on his part because you rather go into the cage for an orbit than lose so many chips. So then in the next hand I pulled a very tiny bluff and it went through, and then he was in the cage and he's like, why are you after me? And then when he was all in and he was behind, I was rooting for him, and then he's like, why you want me fish to be there? So those few things that happened to me just as someone who's just getting into the game, and pros are so welcoming, and they are also having fun playing with you, and you're having like a ball playing with them, so that's just amazing. And for me, poker is so social. It's such a nice game that keeps you sharp, so instead of just focusing on physical games, physical sports, we should also focus on mind sports.
Well, I think you've done a really good job representing the game since you were given that opportunity, and it's been a real pleasure getting to know you and do commentary with you over this week. So it's been a lot of fun.
Same here, Kevin.
And me also.
Welcome back,
That goes
Peter.
without saying, Peter.
Might as well grab some of the attention and spotlight.
Peter, why don't you read out a few jokes, please? I'm really bad at
I'm
that.
I'm actually going to read out a contest question that I've managed to scrounge up, so it gives an opportunity to players to get into this FTS, the FTS main event. In fact, you can score a chance to win a satellite ticket, which is coming up shortly. We'll just let this hand play out.
I'm sorry, we've been ignoring this bunch. RRT has been playing really solid today. I'm really impressed by how he's playing. And he came in as a chip leader, and he's, he did lose some chips, but he's still in it, doing it.
Yeah, and here going with the big sizing at the bottom pair, and actually getting value from the ace high, and we're just going to see this go check, and RRT would take this down with the pair of deuces, I would assume. But yeah, that losing that key pot to wow, Is this a value bet or a bluff? Feel like it's a value bet. Pretty thin value bet here. It works. I mean, wow.
There you go.
Pretty aware there. I think always check back the river. They're just trying to get to showdown with bottom pair, but pretty aware there by RT. So kudos to him finding value where others might not have.
Well, as RRT scoops up that pot, let's tell our viewers the next contest question coming up, and we're going to keep a really short window on this thing and try and announce the winners by the time whenever this live stream ends. And the contest question is this: the dead man's hand, the famous dead man's hand, is named after which poker player? So that's your contest question for this evening. What poker player has got the dead man's hand named after him? Make sure that you get your answers along with your Spartan Poker ID. Tag 3 of your friends in the comments, and who knows, you could be one of the 5 lucky players who can win a ticket into the 5-seat guaranteed satellite for the FTS main event Day 1A, which takes place later tonight at 10 p.m. So that's how we do it as far as the contest here at the FTS is concerned. Fire it out right at you, and a couple of hours later, if you get your answers right, then you might just be the lucky one to play in that main event guaranteed satellite. So get your answers in, and we will try and announce the winners by the time this live stream wraps up. In the meantime, though, it's once again RRT catching a piece of that flop with his 5s and taking home that pot as well.
Yeah, and he's really moved back up the chip counts here. What a great contest question, by the way, Peter. I mean, I'm not sure how familiar the Indian poker community is with the dead man's hand and the story behind it, but just a little hint without giving away too much. One of my favorite TV shows of all time has a scene with this particular answer and character in it. Man, what a great show! With that, I'm not gonna say just yet
not more than that.
Answer, but one of my all-time favorites.
I know exactly what Kevin McPhee is referring to, but yes, that's as broad a hint as we can possibly give you here. So get yourselves onto that contest question as soon as you can, because you can win that ticket. Hopefully, we will announce the winners really, really soon. So yeah.
Am I excluded from that? Because I think I need to answer.
We'll get you down to India at some point again, Kevin. So it'll be something that we can possibly do here. Live poker, we're hoping starts soon enough. So yeah.
God, I can't wait.
Kevin, knock knock.
Who's there?
Can
who?
Muskan. This is like by Ashwini Kumar. It's in the chat.
What a punny answer that was.
Okay, that got me. That was
okay. Another one. My wife was thinking of leaving me because of my obsession with poker, but I think she's bluffing.
All right. It's got a few giggles to it.
A murderer was playing poker in a shady alley. I choked someone to death, he said. The person next to him said, man, nothing can beat such a strong hand. Okay. Or maybe I missed a word.
I'm not quite sure I wrapped my head around that one.
Okay, wait, we got more.
I guess
My Tinder bio says that I have a corner. My Tinder bio says that I have a corner office with the views of entire city, driver 500k vehicle, and that I'm paid to travel. My dates never seem too happy when I tell them I'm a bus driver. Aww.
Fair enough.
A man who woke up in a hospital after a serious accident, he shouted, Doctor, I can't feel my legs. And then, where's the rest of this joke?
And that, as they say, the joke's on us. Well, all right, picking up a nice little hand there.
Yeah, we saw it.
I like the knock-knock one. That's my, now, thank you, Ashwini. Now that's my knock-knock joke. Because yeah, I'm always looking for a funny knock-knock joke. There was one more. Knock-knock.
Who's there?
Needle.
Needle who?
Need a little help tonight. Or whatever. Okay, sorry, Peter. Peter.
I'm just looking at the board right now because clearly I'm not going to be winning this ticket that Muskan Sethi is so kindly awarding to the winner of that best joke. But yeah, chuckles aplenty here.
If you can beat the knock joke, be my guest. Come.
No,
Show me what you
I'm
got.
just not going to take a shot here. I think I'll stick with my hosting duties because there are far more funnier and cleverer people who are putting their answers out there. And RRT with that full house, three's full.
Yeah, and if you're wondering how this pot got so big, it's because To the Streets took this hand to the streets, 3-betting King 8 suited here, and betting and now checking when he hits his full house on the river. And I just have a hard time seeing how he's going to call it off here. You'd have to be putting RRT on a pretty ambitious, like, double float here. And, yeah, he does lay down the river full house. But I think I would have liked to see a peel there out of the King 8 suited, keep your opponent's range wide, keep all their, like, 8-7 offs and stuff in the range and their under hearts. And I just don't know if I like that hand to 3-bet with. But To the Streets is going to play some hood poker. So RRT has vaulted from blast and chips here 3-handed to, once again, overwhelming chip leader. So he's just been on a rampage, winning a lot of pots and really just been on a heater here. So you love to see it, you know. You love to see the action. And we get a pretty action flop here. 8-5 off, flopping the open ender, and the Queen 10 flopping a pretty strong top pair, and we're going to definitely see a turn here. We're not going to see a turn because the Queen 10 just rips. And the 8-5 calls off, turns a pair, and does not improve on the river. So Ramesh, who had just taken back the chip lead, doubles up AA addicted, getting it in there with the open ender. And once you bet a hand like that and they jam, it's like, you don't love it, but you just gotta play your draw, I guess, and not fold it. So,
what kind of a tree fits in your hand?
What kind of a tree fits in your hand?
Palm tree.
Yeah.
Bonsai tree.
Yeah.
Palm tree.
That's correct.
Okay. Not bad. And Kevin McPhee, the not quite winner of that 5K ticket.
Oh, I love it. I'm actually reading out these jokes to you guys, and then with your reaction is like, I'm deciding whether they're nice or not. I love it.
Well, an interesting hand developing here. Both players have hit 8s up.
I want to find that joke, doctor joke. I can't. Oh yeah, a man woke up in a hospital after a serious accident. He shouted, "Doctor, doctor, I can't feel my legs." The doctor replied, "I know you can't. I've cut off your arms."
Yeah, okay. It took me a second. But yeah, okay. All right. That's pretty good. All right. This one's definitely making the short list.
This was worth going back and checking for.
Well, quite the board here that we're seeing.
Yeah, the ace on the river means that what normally would have been a chopped pot here is now the kickers are going to play. So the king kicker will play, no longer a chop pot, and goes check on the river. And the pair of eights, the king kicker takes it down.
Women only call me ugly until they find out how much money I make. Now they call me ugly and poor.
I think that joke is a brutal reality for a lot of poker players, I'm guessing. So yeah.
Okay, I like that one.
That's pretty good. There's some viewers, some really clever stuff coming from you also. Yeah, keep it going.
Gambling.
We're here for the rest of the evening.
Prakash Chaudhary says, gambling has really helped me get back on my feet because I lost my car last night in poker. Okay.
All right.
Okay, Akshay Kapoor is trying to be mean to me. He's saying, funny or witty comment, huh? Okay, Kevin, how much would you bet on this river? Muskan, I will jam to make it look like a bluff. Peter, but Muskan, you never bluff. Okay, you're just being mean, huh?
Now now, Akshay. Be nice, man. We're just trying to entertain you
Next
folks
time I'm
and
gonna
ourselves in
bluff
the process.
you, Akshay. Just wait for it. You call for it. There's someone who's given 3 parts of a joke. Okay, we do that
3
in a
parts.
bit.
It's a joke, my friend, not a thesis. Take it easy on us.
Part 1. A wife once asked her husband, "Would you remarry after I die?" The man says, "I don't want to talk about this." She insists, and he says, "Yeah, maybe I would marry again." Part 2. The lady then says, "Would you sell the house?" And the man is like, "No, I wouldn't sell the house." The wife again goes like, "Would you sell our bed?" The man is like, "No way, why would I sell the house?" Okay, part 3. The wife then asks, "Would you let her use my golf clubs?" And the husband is like, "Of course not, honey. She's left-handed."
Wow.
Oh,
Well, 10's up for RRT in that hand as he takes down that part.
you donkey.
Here we go.
Okay, I got a joke. Online with my
Kevin,
dad
are
jokes.
you in this contest?
I'm not in this contest, but
Okay,
I
done.
just want to tell you guys a joke because I did some research on some dad jokes, and I still have a couple in the barrel here. Okay.
Okay, done.
All right, fire away.
So why do Norwegian warships have barcodes on the side?
Why do Norwegian warships have barcodes on the side?
Yep. So when they arrive at port, they can Scandinavian.
All right. Kevin really going for the puns on that one.
Kevin, what do you have to
Alright.
say about this hand now? Because I feel like Sapra, okay, it's happened before, I could say.
Yeah, to the streets, 3-bet this hand, right? And we had a flat from A Addicted, bet small on flop, and a call, a float from the king high, and a check on turn. And yeah, the queen's getting maximum value here, inducing the bet on the turn. So very tricky check. I think the normal conventional wisdom would be to just continue betting with your overpair here and try to get value from things. But to the streets, kind of being aware of what's going on there and inducing a bluff from the king high and able to take down a pretty nice pot. So A Addicted is looking pretty short now, riding about, 10 mil? So
Yeah,
20
1 mil.
big blinds and really in the danger zone now. And, when we were telling jokes earlier, I tight folds from A Addicted, folding a suited queen in blind one hand. And, when you're 3-handed, you got to be defending. You cannot just sit there and hide behind a rock. So I'd like to see A Addicted now, especially that he's a short stack, kind of step out a little bit more here and try to gamble, put some pressure on these other 2 players. Certainly, Ramesh will constantly be putting his foot on the accelerator, so I think A Addicted should be looking to target him in future hands.
Peter, so after LOL, this guy shipped the tournament and then yesterday made a deep run. There's a ID that's appeared on the client, LOL this gal.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and Arjun Procedure has put out a message that whoever this is should contact him because he thinks he's in love. He's found his partner and he's like,
There we go. Poker facilitating big pots and possible alliances of the romantic sort as well. All right, lol this guy, lol this gal. That's a heads up match that I'd like to see. In the meantime, though, Ace is up for To the Streets with his Ace Deuce against A Addicted's Ace 4.
Yeah, and he has just been a thorn in the side of A Addicted at this final table. It just seems like anytime A Addicted is stepping out, he is stepping out right into the nuts of To the Streets. And To the Streets again here with the check shove on the turn, taking down,
Yep.
very likely taking down another nice pot. Maybe we see the Ace 4 get turn here, putting him on a flush draw.
yeah.
But
most
man,
likely
so
will.
optimistic. Yeah. If we do see a call, that'll be the reason. But you do have the 4 hearts in your hand. Pretty relevant blocker here. So eliminating hands like 4-3 of hearts and 4-5 of hearts. So it'd be interesting to see. Yeah, and he does make the discipline and correct fold.
Well, Sumit Sapra, they're playing as A-addicted. Plenty of experience behind Sumit Sapra, of course. And easy to see why he's as successful a player as he is with that quite disciplined fold.
Yeah, and here we see RRT just peeling the Jack-9 suited pre-flop. Definitely a product of how short A-addicted is. We have been seeing Ramesh exclusively almost 3-betting only from the small blind and not really having much of a flatting range. So mixing it up a little bit here, being aware of the ICM. AA addicted also, this next hand getting through the reshove with the ace-9 and hanging around 17 big blinds, but needs to get a double, even these stacks up to have a shot here. Yeah, it's a pretty interesting flop.
Bring it.
And I think this could be a reasonable check raise from To the Streets here. The 7 blocker blocks a lot of continues.
Yeah.
Kind of a hard hand to check call with, but you do have a gut shot and a backdoor flush draw. So this seems like a pretty good check raising candidate, and he's going to run into it here against Ramesh. Pretty action card on the turn there with the 4 of hearts, turning him the open ender. And I think we're going to see Ramesh continue to slow play. It's going to be a disaster if the 8 or 3 rolls off on the river, but I like this play.
Oh, boy.
Ouch.
Wow.
And he hits that gut shot on the river, and I just don't see
There's no escaping this.
how RRT folds for a half-pot shove with trip 9s here, but it feels so gross. Like,
So
how can he
sick.
not have it?
This is.
Oh, boy.
How can he not have it here? He's got to have a 9 minimum.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, Hood Poker has its advantages, and it'll be a miracle if RRT gets out of this hand.
Yeah,
Oh.
and you can't blame RRT for calling off here, and he will
Yep.
go out in 3rd place. I mean, when you slow play your trip 9s, you run the risk of letting him hit his 4 outs, and you're willing to take that gamble to induce the bluffs. And it was a pretty bloated pot. If he had just faded the river, we would have seen him take down a very nice pot and taken over chip lead. So a huge swing there for RRT on that river, real dirty, and that's unfortunate to see him go out in 3rd. I know we were all kind of rooting for him. I know we're supposed to be impartial, but when one of our own is there, we were always rooting for them. So disappointing for sure, but I think Ramesh should be very happy with the 3rd place finish. Comes along with not only some that's not only is a nice finish, it comes along with a nice payday, I should say.
Of
Yep.
course.
And that's a pretty good payday. 12.51 lakhs for Ramesh Rao Thotapalli playing as Research. It would have been a fun conversation had he gone on to win this title in our post-match interview call. But that's the way these things work out sometimes. RRT getting out in the 2nd runner-up position for that 12.5 lakh payday. And it's now down to heads up between A-addicted, that's Sumit Sapra, versus To the Streets, that's Rohit Agrawal. And Rohit with quite the commanding chip lead here. And we've got quite a few answers from the contest question we asked you a little while ago, and we will be announcing the winners of that very, very shortly. So stay tuned to see if you are one of the lucky 5 players to win that satellite ticket.
And I think we're going to see the chips get in here. Yep.
Oh.
The Jack-9 suited. Oh, ace on the river.
Oh
to
boy!
save him.
Oh boy!
Wow.
Wow!
Well, we could have had our last hand there, but I think we're
Yeah.
blessed with some more poker action with that ace on the river. You needed the ace and the ace only to stay off execution there, and now we have more of a game here. So one more double up, and we could have even chip stacks. So, but
Yeah.
a lot of work still to do here for AA addicted with just coming into heads up play with a massive disadvantage. But when you get into heads up, anything can happen. So for those that enjoy making the pay jumps and taking the conservative approach to the final table, that's the nice bonus is not only you laddering up, but when you get into shorthand to play, really anything can happen. And as we saw there, he laddered up just by his opponent hitting a gut shot, So, and now he's got a shot for the title. So, yeah, nice job laddering up AA Addicted and putting himself in a position to get lucky. And pretty action flop here. Top pair backdoor flush draw, or sorry, just top pair against bottom two. And I think we're going to see an all-in. And another double for AA Addicted. So, yeah. double, and now we got a game.
Exactly. That's what I was going to say, that, it won't be that easy for To The Streets to close this, considering Sapra is such an experienced player. And he was just waiting for that one double up, which he's got now. And now it's going to be interesting. And it really boils down to experience here. Rohit being a little newbie, at least compared to Sapra, who's been around for a decade.
Right.
Will have to fight really hard.
Yeah, Rohit, we don't know much about you, and we've just made that assumption only on the basis of the fact that we know Sapra has been playing for poker as long as he has. But To The Streets, my friend, that's how you've been playing, and that's how it goes. But yeah, the stacks are almost even when that double up happened for Sumit Sapra. So we should be in for a bit of a fight here.
Yeah, it's going to be a pretty fun heads-up match. I mean, two conflicting styles. We got the seasoned veteran and we got the hood, exploitive player. So it's a conflict of styles in a deep stack format that I think is really fun to watch. I think this is some of the best poker viewing that you're going to see, is when you get to see a heads-up match between conflicting styles, between two good players, also playing for a nice first prize and the medallion. I mean, really just a lot on the line here. And we're rewarded with some deep stack play, and I think we're going to have a pretty lengthy heads-up match here after those two doubles. Yep. It's right back to even, and I feel pretty blessed about this. I mean, we had that long heads-up match with Duru and Kartik last series, and that was personally my favorite stream to do commentary on, just
really?
Because. Yeah, I just like when we get deep stack shorthanded at these final tables. When the stacks are compressed down, we see less play and less creativity, and it really allows for a lot more creativity when you have not only the conflicting styles but the deeper stacks. So this should be a lot of fun to watch, and highly recommend for anybody that thinks a friend of theirs needs a little tune-up on their heads-up game to tune in to this match and get some free lessons. It's pretty nice to watch these guys with their whole cards exposed, playing for big money, and to get that opportunity for free, I think is pretty nice for viewers.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, now that both players have been dealt not so great cards, it's time to answer that contest question that we asked you earlier. What is the dead man's hand? Well, not what is the dead man's hand, but what poker player does the dead man's hand refer to? And the answer, of course, is James Butler Hickok. That's the player, the famous story. You can look it up online about the dead man's hand, and that's James Butler Hickok, which is the right answer to that question. 5 winners have been chosen. The first one is Sarthak Kawatra, who's got Sarthak786 as his ID. I'll come to the remaining 4 winners once we're done with this hand. And we're done with this hand. So Sarthak786 is the first winner. Manmohan Singh, playing as Anaconda1605, is the second winner. Mayank Gupta, playing as Mayank Gupta 743, is the third ticket winner. And the last two being Loki Lokesh as Gambler 420 and Rohit Singh P as I Am Groot, also picking up another ticket there. So that's your 5 winners for that wild Bill Hickok hand, the dead man's hand, that is, aces full of 8s.
Kevin,
for anybody that hasn't saw it, just excuse me for a second, but Deadwood on HBO, classic show. Talking about Deadwood, South Dakota. I've been to Deadwood, South Dakota. It has more poker rooms per capita than any other city in America. It is a tiny little town in a trucking route through the middle of America, and they love poker there. They love poker, and I've even played poker in the number 9 saloon where Wild Bill Hickok got shot and killed. That show is fantastic. If anybody is a fan of, the Old West, it is dirty, it is grimy, it is just everything you want out of a show, and the acting is phenomenal. And Wild Bill Hickok is actually a character in the show, and one of my sleeper picks is one of my favorite TV shows of all time. Sorry to interrupt you. I just
No,
had to
that
get
was
that
such
off
an
my chest.
interesting one.
Well, it's safe to say that there's some binge watching that's going to happen later this evening for a lot of players after Kevin McPhee's recommendation of Deadwood. But it is a great show, so be sure to check it out. If you like Westerns, that is one show you do not want to miss out on.
Yeah, really interesting spot here. Back to the action. To the streets with fourth pair, and I could see a call happening here. So many draws missed. And he does see the river pair king, so he sees how unlucky he got there.
Peter, what's your idea on Spartan?
What's my idea on Spartan? It's sab ganna hai par dhanna hai. Let me translate that for our international commentator here.
Please do.
What that means in Hindi is everything's dirty, but it's all business, baby. So yeah,
Nice.
I really spread that out, but that's pretty much what it is. It's taken off of a famous Bollywood song, lyrics from a Bollywood song. So yeah, that's exactly what it is.
Nice.
You'll rarely see me online. In case anyone's wondering, you'll rarely ever see me online playing. But if you do, that's me.
Target him.
Well, I think you guys need to. I think you guys need to recommend to me some classic Bollywood movies that are must sees, because during the pandemic I have watched so much TV, so many movies. It is almost embarrassing. I think I did a list to see how much TV I've actually watched during the pandemic, and I have watched 65 different series.
Wow.
And that's minimum one season.
That's
of
a
each.
lot.
Some of them I've watched all the way through.
So Kevin, why don't you give us some suggestion instead of us giving you one? Which was
Well, he's
your
already
favorite?
given us one. Maybe he could do one more.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, yeah, I don't know how Netflix works from country to country. I think they have a different catalog.
Just tell us
You
what
don't
about
hack
it
it,
is.
okay? But my favorite show that I watched during the pandemic was a June show, kind of a sci-fi thriller show called Dark,
Okay.
and it's kind of has the feel like if Stanley Kubrick made his own TV show, but it was just in German. Like, it's very detailed and well thought out. And I don't really want to reveal anything about the show because part of the fun is the mystery of it. But it has subtitles, so you have to suffer through the subtitles, but you will be rewarded, in my opinion. It broke a very difficult to break top 5 list of top 5 TV shows of all time. So that one I think is a real masterpiece. Maybe not for everybody because it's kind of a mystery and it's very involved. You really have to, it's like every detail matters. So I was reading episode guides on Reddit after and trying to keep it up. That was my pick, was Dark on Netflix, and true masterpiece. So that was one of my favorites. But I've watched a lot of other just silly comedies and stuff, try to lighten the mood during the pandemic. And
You should watch Scam 92. That's a Indian show.
Scam 92.
1992.
Okay.
Watch that. Peter, did you watch that?
I haven't actually. It was supposed to be on my watch list while I was here in Goa for the live stream, but clearly my sleep is way more important to me, and so I've not yet gotten around to it, but some good reviews on that particular show, so I'm looking forward to it whenever I get to watch it.
Of course. Even Timex tweeted about it, Kevin.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and I was shocked. I was like, how does he watch all these Indian shows? And then it's actually a great story.
Yeah, it's based on just for your information, Kevin, it is based on the true life story of a gentleman who, well, not surprisingly, did a scam back in the day on the Indian Stock Exchange. So, yeah, if you're into the markets and all of that, of course, you'll need the subtitles as well, which are there. But it's a pretty interesting story to wrap your head around.
Yeah,
And
it's a couple
there's
pretty
this,
big hands here.
Yeah.
Ace, Jack, and King, Queen, 3-bet pot, so we have a pretty bloated pot here.
So I've been watching this Japanese anime, but I cannot, it's not like for kids, so I'm not going to put out the link there or tell you what I'm watching, but it's about gambling. It has every game in it possible. Okay, so they basically, so even in normal poker, it's like an institute of kids, and the only way you go up the hierarchy is with your gambling skills. Like you're respected only if you're good at gambling, and there are different types of games. So what they do is just even poker, they like kind of change it up into their own rules and make it more dangerous and high variance, and then they play, and then it's quite crazy. I've been watching that. It's on Netflix, guys.
That's pretty awesome. Well, I'll have to check out the one about the stock market. You know, it's been a pretty interesting time in the American stock market recently. With there's been a lot of attention, people investing in Robinhood, and these meme stocks have really taken off. You know, and I have some friends that are big Redditors that were in Wall Street bets from the beginning and got into GameStop.
Wow!
Wow!
Nice,
Look at that hand. Ace high call.
I love that.
Wow.
That was an excellent hand.
Poker indeed.
Yeah. And there you have it, folks. With all that talk about gambling, you can clearly see it's all about skill here as well. That excellent call by To the Streets, displaying the hoodiness of it all with that particular hand.
Yeah, but to get back to the stock market discussion, you know, it's been a super interesting year, and I actually bought a little GameStop myself. So I've been watching and reading all these memes.
Yeah, that just blew up.
Hilarious. Yeah, it's just crazy what's been happening, and yeah, it's the stock market's been a lot of fun. So really, any of these, The Big Short has had a big revitalization with all the attention on the stock market. So I'm sure this movie you guys would be recommending would be valuable.
It's actually a show.
Watch. It's a show. Okay.
Yeah.
Sweet.
That's how we do it here, expanding our horizons as far as entertainment and news is concerned. Catching all of this information from across the world, German shows, Indian shows, American shows. It's all fun. And at this point in time, addicted with that ace queen.
Yeah, we're going to get it in here. And wow, To the Streets flops the 9.
Wow.
That's good enough to take down the tournament. So unfortunate run there at the end for our second place finisher. But congrats to the Streets for taking down the title with an unconventional approach, showing that exploitive poker can get the job done just as good as GTO. So congrats to him, winner of our event and the winner of the Gold Medallion. Very nice.
Yep. The 28.49 lakhs is what Rohit Agrawal, that's To the Streets, the winner of this high roller event, has got going for him. Very well played by both the players in heads up. That comeback with that hand where they were nearly even stacked there, and from there on it was barely minutes till we finally got to our winner. But Rohit Agrawal outlasting Sumit Sapra, who was playing as A-Addicted in this heads up match. And it's fair to say that he will cherish this victory, given the resume of his opponent. It's always a good thing that a lot of players take a pride in, that they've outlasted someone of that caliber. So congratulations to all of the finalists at this high roller table and your top 2 finishers this evening. Sumit Sapra in runner-up, taking home 19.25 lakhs. And of course, the big winner of them all, Rohit Agrawal, To the Streets, taking 28.49 lakh rupees for his win, that 18-karat gold medallion, and of course a special gift hamper and the game face mask also going his way. And remember, lots of points on that leaderboard. Also, the FTS leaderboard worth 30 lakh rupees, where you have an up top payout of 10 lakhs. Guys, we have seen obviously a variety of contrasting styles and stacks at this final table, and any particular, let me ask you first, Muskan, any particular player or particular hand that sort of grabbed you and, that you want to comment on?
Just now, this ace high call.
Yeah.
Wow. That's what sweet dreams are made of. You make such calls, and then the next hand you will knock your opponent out, and that's it. You've taken down. I'm sure he must be really, really proud. And whatever he's thinking, the concepts in his mind that made him make that call are correct. So he's on the right path, and he's studying the right things. So I would just like to wish him congratulations, and hopefully we'll see some more poker from some good poker from these guys in the coming tournament. And other than that, Vita, obviously these guys are so impressive. I told you it's a crazy bunch, and that's what they did. They came here and did some cool stuff and showed us some good poker.
Yep, we've been thoroughly entertained, Kevin McPhee. I'm sure you'll agree that, RRT, of course, we were sort of, I know we're supposed to be not so biased, but we were rooting for him a little bit there. And I guess he did as well as any chip leader would have done. And that trend continues. The chip leaders at final tables, even with such a massive lead as RRT did. But I think he played as best as he could, given the circumstances.
Yeah, I think he picked his spots pretty well. I mean, he's playing a pretty aggressive style, and just didn't work out for him. And then, really, that like what Muskan was saying is that ace high call was just the pivotal point of the tournament. I mean, the momentum was swinging back in AA Addicted's favor. In that heads-up match, stacks were getting pretty even. And if he had made the fold there, it feels like Sumit would have taken the title down. But
yep.
he sniffed out the bluff and made a very brave and correct ace high call, and that propelled to the streets to the win. So congrats to him. I really think that he played a kind of a more unconventional style, and it was rewarded for it. So street poker, hood poker matters, especially at the stack size. I mean, right at the beginning of the final table, if you remember, there was that hand where RRT 3-bet 5-6 suited, and street poker 4-bet Jack 10 offsuit. So he showed up prepared today, ready to win. Definitely was picking his spots correctly, and I just can't say enough about his timing. It seemed like the timing was just perfect today, and really not too many missteps. Maybe a couple of things here or there that maybe I would have preferred differently, but the King 8 suited in particular, where he bluffed into RRT's full house with the Queen Jack. Maybe would have liked to seen a different line from there, but overall, the timing was impeccable, and kudos to him. Very good winner to have. So I think we'll see more from him. Hopefully, this is just the beginning of what will be a long poker resume.
Well, there you go, folks. The winner of this high roller event, Rohit Agrawal, playing as To the Streets, displaying some of that absolute skill and impeccable timing, as Kevin McPhee is referred to, all the way riding himself to that title and 28 lakhs in prize money. What a wonderful performance by that winner, and I'm sure we'll see more of him across the virtual fence and live felts whenever that happens, I'm sure in the course of the coming months and years. In the meantime, though, it's time for us to say goodbye. I'd like to thank our co-commentators, Muskan Sethi and Kevin McPhee. Thank you so much for joining us. Well, okay.
Ashwini Kumar is the winner.
Okay. Thank you for stopping me and announcing the winner on that. Ashwini Kumar, very well done. You've got a ticket coming your way, courtesy Muskan Sethi. So we'd like to thank Muskan for doing that fun little contest and entertaining all of us here in the commentary booth with all of your one-liners and jokes. I'm sure we'll be doing a lot more of these fun things as we go along. So on behalf of Muskan Sethi, Kevin McPhee, myself, Peter Abraham, and of course the team here at the India Poker Championships Final Table Series 2.0, it's goodbye.